In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the performance of the new Callaway Maverick drivers. I'm going to let you know how I got on after testing them on a launch monitor and taking them out on the golf course here at Whitecross Golf Club. I'll let you know some of the things I absolutely love about this driver, a few things I'm not too keen on, and just give you a good idea of the performance it delivered for me. I'm also going to put this, the standard model, and its Sub-Zero counterpart up against last year's Epic Flash models, so we can see if Callaway are delivering on the promises they're making with the Maverick, and just to see the progression from the 2019 to the 2020 models. First off though, before I run into all of that, if you're new to our YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button below, give us a thumbs up if you enjoy this video, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Now, before I run into the numbers I got with each of the 4 driver heads, if you want to know more about the design of these drivers, the technology that's been packed in here, and also the differences between the 3 Maverick models, I will go and check out our other video first. We'll have a link to that in the description below. I'll also put a card on the top of the screen for you to click on, so go check that video out first, learn a little bit more about these club heads, and then you can come back here to find out more about the performance and my thoughts. I'll get started with the Epic Flash. I tested all 4 drivers using the same Project X Hazardous Smoke 6.5 shaft, and all using Pro V1 golf balls on TrackMan. And also want to say thanks to Scott Cleland for allowing me to use his facility for the indoor portion of this test. You can see my club head speed is averaging 108 miles an hour and the ball speed at 160.6. So I tend to swing the club around about the 110 mark, so good speed there. And the flash face and jailbreak technology of this driver just combining to translate that club head speed into a lot of ball speed. Little over the 160 mark. That's what I look for in a driver. Anything around about that 160 mark I consider to be really fast. So no surprises that one of the best drivers of 2019 is doing that for me. We're then launching at 10.7 degrees and spinning a little over 2,000 RPM, so pretty good launch conditions. And then the carries at 266 for a total just shy of 300 yards. So solid distance, solid numbers across the board there, and no more than I expect from last year's Epic Flash. Now onto the Maverick, and you'll see my club head speed has jumped up by a little over 2 miles an hour. We're at 110.2. My ball speed has also jumped up to 162.3. Now, the improved club head speed is likely down to the new Cyclone Aero shape that we have with this driver. That's what Callaway's calling it. Basically, we have a flatter, relatively flat crown here, and this race section towards the back of the sole, which means it's going to be more aerodynamically efficient than the Epic Flash and give you some additional club head speed. And certainly, the numbers here seem to be backing that up. The ball speed, it's up despite the fact my smash factor's down, so the strike wasn't quite as good with the Maverick, but you can see 162.3. This new flash face SS20, the next step up from last year's Epic Flash, artificial intelligence used again to design this driver face, just means I'm getting an absolute ton of ball speed. 10.9 launch angle, fairly similar, and spinning about 200 RPM more than the Epic Flash. So similar launch conditions, but because of the additional ball speed, I'm getting about 5 yards added carry. So I'm now up to 271.4 yards, and then the average total's up by a couple of yards as well. We're now at 301.3. So everything that's gone into this driver, the improved aerodynamics, the next level of flash face, just means that I'm getting some more speed. Then similar launch conditions means I'm getting more carry distance, around about 5 yards, so that's pretty impressive. That shows that Callaway have been able to improve upon one of the best drivers in 2019, one of the longest drivers I've ever tested, so really impressed with the numbers that the Maverick was delivering me. Now onto the Epic Flash Sub-Zero, the driver I used for pretty much all of 2019. Absolutely loved using this driver. It was fantastic for me, delivered everything I wanted in terms of performance. And the numbers are exactly what I expect, exactly what I was getting with this driver for the best part of the year. You can see the club head speed is at 109.5, ball speed at 162.4, so really tons of ball speed thanks to the flash face, good club head speed. Launching at 9.4 degrees, so a little bit lower than the Maverick and the standard Epic Flash, as you would expect. Also spinning just over 2,000 RPM. For an average carry of 263.4, an average total of 300.4. So exactly what I expect with the Epic Flash Sub-Zero. Been using it for a year, absolutely fantastic numbers across the board. I've loved using this thing, but the question is, will the Maverick Sub-Zero be able to best it? So the Maverick Sub-Zero, you can see my club head speed jump up slightly to 110.2 miles an hour. My ball speed also creep up to 163.2, so tons of speed with this driver. Launch conditions fairly similar. We're launching at 9.6 degrees, spinning just over 2000 RPM again. And what that means is that a little bit of additional speed, similar launch conditions, is I'm getting a little over 3 yards of additional carry and also almost 2 yards of additional total distance. So the Epic Flash Sub-Zero, I loved using it. One of the best drivers of 2019, the driver I probably loved most out of everything last year. And to see this Maverick Sub-Zero best it, just go that little bit further, is absolutely fantastic. Callaway clearly, that new Flash Face SS20, improved aerodynamics, everything about the Maverick club heads seems to be delivering in terms of getting some additional carry, getting some improved performance. So really impressed all round with the numbers that both the standard Maverick and the Sub-Zero that were offering me. Subtle improvements, but improvements nonetheless over last year's Epic Flash models. Now on to my thoughts having taken these drivers out onto the golf course, and the first thing I'm going to touch on is the sound. That was one of the key focuses for Callaway when designing the Maverick drivers, and it was probably one of the largest and my largest criticism, or my only criticism really, of last year's Epic Flash drivers was the sound. I loved using my Epic Flash Sub-Zero, but it was a wee bit loud and a wee bit harsh sounding. It wasn't terrible, but certainly would have liked something a little bit quieter and a little bit duller at impact. And Callaway looked towards their artificial intelligence capabilities to deliver that in Maverick, and it does that. It feels and sounds a lot nicer, a little bit more powerful and just more pleasing down at impact. Next thing to touch on is the looks, and from on top at address, I think these drivers look better than the predecessors. I lean more towards the better player, more compact shaping of the Sub-Zero, but both are more compact. I like the fact that we've got rid of that line across the top of the crown. But one thing, and this is probably my only criticism of the Maverick, is the sunset orange colour scheme. It's something I'm not really that keen on. That being said though, I wasn't keen on last year's green and yellow from the Epic Flash, so when I was getting my Epic Flash Sub-Zero for the year, I got it in blue and white, as you can see. Callaway Customs, you can go on the Callaway website, it allows you to, choose the colour scheme you want for your driver, and that's something I would probably look to do with the Maverick again. But that's just my personal opinion. Maybe some of you will love that sunset orange look, but for me personally, it just doesn't float my boat, so I'd probably be looking at this again, going blue and white. When it came to performance, both of these drivers were delivering exactly what I expected, and that little bit extra over the Epic Flash models. Tons of ball speed, really good launch conditions, lots of distance, and very forgiving. One thing I was impressed with whilst testing the Maverick was the consistency of the spin rates across the face and just how tight my dispersion was. That's one of the things that Callaway say with the new Flash Face SS20. It's going to deliver tight downrange dispersion, and certainly I've seen that with both these club heads. Cannot fault them in any aspect of performance. Absolutely fantastic. Distance, forgiveness, accuracy, ball flight, trajectory, everything about them was absolutely fantastic, and I could just see that little bit extra over last year's Epic Flash models. So for comparing year to year, I can see the improvements. Now if you have an Epic Flash model, it's a great driver. Maybe not the need to upgrade straight away. If you want the absolute best that Callaway offer, then the Maverick will be that driver. And it's going to deliver maximum performance. But the Epic Flash drivers are still fantastic. If, however, you've got something that's maybe a few years old, maybe you've got an original Epic or something like that, you should be looking to the Maverick to see what it can deliver, see what extra performance it will offer you. Now the difference between the two was again exactly what I expected. The Maverick, it was a bit higher launching, a bit easier to hit. If you want the easiest to hit one, then you'd go for the Maverick Max. And the Sub-Zero, it was delivering the more penetrating trajectory that I looked for. So in terms of performance, two fantastic drivers here, good improvements over last year's Epic Flash models, delivering everything you want. And I just have to say I'm a huge fan of these drivers, and I reckon there's a good chance that this Maverick Sub-Zero could be my go-to for 2020. However, we'll need to wait and see once I've tested out everything else from this year. Last thing, I just want to say thank you very much for watching this video. I'm going to get inside because it's absolutely chucking it down now. If you have any questions about the Maverick drivers, any of the three models, about the performance of it, what it delivered for me, then just leave it in the comments and I'll answer them for you. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thank you very much for watching.